testing the equipment. Is everything, can everybody hear me? Great, okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. When I first heard solve for y, I thought, now what can I solve for y? But of course it's a mathematical equation. And it says that there are many, many questions with many different answers. So I thought I'd tell you about some strategies, because actually there is no problem without a solution. When I was a young and green manager working for the South African Institute of Marketing Management, my boss was Mr. James McLucky. He was the CEO. Yes, he's called McLucky. Now, how lucky was I to have a boss like McLucky? But oh, ladies and gentlemen, when I had a problem, I had to deal with it myself. What happened was McLucky would call me into his office and say, let's have some tea. His personal assistant would bring in the tray of tea, 2 cups, a pot. He would sit back and pour the tea, and while he poured the tea, he would verbalize the problem. And at the end of the tea pouring ritual, James McLucky would give you a cup, take his own cup and say, now how are you going to solve this problem? Don't say, I don't know, to James McLucky. Don't even say, I'm not sure, because he would just sit there and wait for you to give an answer. So at that young age, I had to learn how to solve problems quickly so that I could give an answer to James McLucky. Make no mistake, he was my mentor and the best boss I've ever had. And he taught me a lot. So today, I'm going to share with you 4 strategies that I've learned over a long time of my career. How to solve problems. Not just solve a problem. How to get the best solution to that problem. Now, the first one is very interesting. The other day, one of my students came to me and said to me, I don't understand where you got this answer from that you gave me for this test question. There's a table with stuff on it, with information, and I said, you read it off the table there. And he said, oh, it's so simple. I thought it was a very complex solution. I said, no. Sometimes the simple solution is the solution. Let me give you another example. I take my students to Taiwan's Industrial and Technological Research Institute. Now, they're wonderful. They start with the research and they end with a prototype. And while I was there, I saw a simple but wonderful solution. I don't know if you know the condition called sleep apnea. People fall asleep, but they don't breathe properly. And then in the middle of the night, many, many times in the night, they wake up and they cannot breathe. It's a potentially life-threatening condition. Now, machines were developed for these people. It's a machine with a thing that you put on your face, and then you have to try to sleep with this thing on your face. I suppose if it's life-threatening, you don't care about the thing on your face. But I don't know if I could sleep with this machine on my face. There must have been somebody else who thought that that was not such a good idea, because at E-Tree, I saw a mattress, and it had sensors in it that monitored the person's breathing as he or she was sleeping. And then, when the sensors found that the breathing wasn't what it should be, the mattress simply lifted and the person could breathe more easily. And then eventually, when the breathing was okay, the mattress went down again, and there's a simple solution. No machine over your face when you sleep. What a wonderful idea. We have many bright minds here in Taiwan who think of amazing, simple solutions for problems at Eatery. Right. So, there's a second way to solve problems. It's not the easy one. Do you have a fear of failure? I think there are people here, I can see some of my students here, fear of failure. So some people would rather not try than fail, or if they fail once, they will put their tail between their legs and run away. Because we know that in some cultures, fear of failure is there because failure is regarded as shameful. Now, I've got a quote there from Confucius for you to read. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Even the great Confucius said that. So, if we have a problem and the solution is not that simple, and we try and we cannot find it, we can try again. Overcome that fear of failure and try again. Now, if you go to the internet and you type in successful people who tried more than once, or successful people who failed, or whatever, you will find very interesting names there. You will find Steven Spielberg. You will find Sir Isaac Newton. You will, of course, read the story of Thomas Edison, who tried, they say, 1,000 times before the light bulb was a success. 1,000 times. Can you imagine if J.K. Rowling, who is now richer than the Queen of England, didn't find a publisher because she didn't try hard enough for Harry Potter, right? You know that she tried 12 times. What if she stopped at time number 5? Time number 10? She would have lost out, but so would we. What lovely books for young people to read. And nice movies too, not so. She failed but tried. So, ladies and gentlemen, overcome your fear of failure. Don't be ashamed to fail. Don't be ashamed to try and try again. If you persevere, you will find a solution, not just any solution. You will find the best solution, because every time you try, you will improve on the solution until the best one is there. Now, there's an old cliche, thinking out of the box. I'm sure all of you have heard that. Thinking out of the box. No, don't think out of the box. Think beyond the box. Now, what does that mean? That means that you have to use everything you've learned. Yes, your formal education is there. But not only that, when you take a walk, when you talk to someone, when you watch TV, when you watch a movie, when you surf the internet, when you read, you learn things from it. Put all of these things in a pool together for you to dig into it deeply and find your creativity in there. Use that creativity and find a solution, even if it looks like the problem cannot be solved. I want to tell you a story. There was a merchant in London. Now, in the old days, people were put in jail for owing money, right? And this merchant in London owed a lot of money to a moneylender. And the moneylender was an old, horrible man. And he was sort of in love with the guy's daughter, but he had a bad reputation, wasn't good to women. And this is a beautiful teenage girl. And he said to the merchant, I will write off all your debt if your daughter would marry me. If she doesn't, I'm going to put you in jail. They were standing in his garden. He had this walkway with pebbles, black and white pebbles. And he saw that the merchant and his daughter were both absolutely horrified. And he thought, oh, well, you know, he can throw the guy in jail, but then he won't get the daughter. And then he found something. He said, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll let Providence decide. I'll put 2 pebbles in this empty bag I've got here in my hand. 1 black, 1 white. If the girl picks out the black pebble, she marries me. You don't have debt, you go home. If the girl picks out the white pebble, she doesn't have to marry me. I will write off the debt and you go home. And he bent down and he picked up the 2 pebbles. But the sharp-eyed girl saw that he picked up 2 black pebbles. Now, what to do? How to solve this problem? If she tells him he's a cheat, her father goes to jail. If she sticks her hand in the bag and pulls out a pebble, it will be a black pebble and she's got to marry this old guy. So, and if her father refuses for her to do this, he goes to jail. So what to do? This looks like an impossible problem. So the girl put her hand in the bag and pulled it out and, oh! Sorry, I dropped the pebble. I was shaking so much with anticipation that I dropped the pebble. Oh no, I'm so sorry. And of course they were standing amongst these black and white pebbles now. This black pebble disappeared. Who knows where it fell, what color pebble fell there. And she said, but fortunately, we can derive from the other pebble in the bag what the one was that I dropped. Very, very good thinking, way beyond the box. This girl very quickly solved that problem through very good creativity, beyond the box. But I've got some warning for people. If you are a lateral thinker and you find creative problems, you may find people who say to you, no, we've always done it that way before. But I've got a better solution, you say. And they say, no, but we've always done it that way before. Ladies and gentlemen, the young people in this audience, don't become an I've done it that way before. Think, find a solution, find the best solution beyond the box of I've done it like this before. Now, there's a myth about getting your best ideas under the shower. You know, James Crocker, who put the mirrors on the Hubble telescope, said he got that idea under the shower. And people laugh. Say, okay. But there's a psychologist in America, his name is Barry Kaufman. He did a study about this ideas in the shower. And what did he find? 72% of the people he interviewed said, but they got some of their best ideas in the shower. So he started to investigate this. It's not a myth. There is a scientific solution for this. And what is that solution? Well, apparently, when we are relaxing under the shower and the hot water is streaming down our backs, and we're doing the mundane task of washing ourselves, our brains get awash in dopamine because we're feeling happy and we're doing something that's mundane. And when the brain has a lot of dopamine in it, alpha waves start forming. And these alpha waves are the things that cause creativity. And that is why all of a sudden, when we are here under the shower, we don't have much else to do. We have time to think. We think really good ideas because there's dopamine all over our brains. Now, you don't have to jump into a shower every time you've got a problem to solve, right? That's that's going to cost a lot of water. So there are other ways to do this. There are many mundane tasks that actually are good enough to get this creative process going. One is weeding a garden. While you're picking up the weeds in the garden, you have time to think of other things. You know, ladies and gentlemen, my father, who was an academic, sometimes came home with a frown on his face and a problem. And what did he do? He took his fishing rod, got into his car and went fishing. And while he was sitting there, waiting for the fish to take the bait, he solved his problems. He always came back with a smile on his face. Problem solved. I always wondered why my old man went fishing to solve his problems. It was only when I read about this amazing thing, about the dopamine and alpha waves, that I realized my father went fishing for that very same reason. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I should take up fishing instead of teaching, right? So, today, I was under the shower and I thought, hey, that is why James McCluskey had the tea ritual. Because that set him free to do a mundane task of pouring this tea while he was freeing his mind to think how he would solve the problem in case I said, I don't know. I think I should take up fishing so that I can think way beyond the box and maybe find the simplest solution possible for things that I have to solve. Thank you for your attention.